Finally, the Brock Eagles get a pre-district win. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Brock Eagle Football Show, right here on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media, brought to you by Tommy Hayes Photography and DFW Executive Realty. And what a game it was, as they're able to outlast Wichita Falls Hirschi 28-14. It was kind of a tale of two halves in a way, as Brock jumped out 14-0 and then basically had to kind of fend off Hirschi in that second half, which in my opinion made it a more impressive victory. You know, we talked about that Pleasant Grove game and how close that was and how frustrating it was losing that game the way you did, especially after last year going 0-4. And it feels like a weight's been taken off the Brock Eagles with this win. Now, the problem is you got to turn around and now play Wimberley, probably the best team on Brock's schedule this year, and probably was last year as well. I don't know. I would say so. I know Gunner won state. I know Wimberley got beat in the state championship game pretty badly by Carthage, but, I mean, let's be honest, Wimberley's 4A Division II, and they're loaded. And so you've got to face that, but you've at least got that first win. And then you've got Gunner next week, and then everything will roll into district, and away we'll go. That's how quick this season goes. But, great win. Offense is still kind of trying to figure things out, and we talked about that on Sideline to Sideline, the 3A edition, brought to you by Side Design and Printing this week. And that's something they've got to figure out. But, man, that defense, whoo. That's like watching some 1990s or 1980s defense with just how physical and how hard-hitting and how it just seems like they're right where they're supposed to be every play. When a team scores against Brock, it just feels like they had to, they had to just put out every amount of effort that they had to get that score. And that's what you want with your defense. And so the defense is looking good. The offense is still figuring it out. But I'll tell you what, that last drive was pretty important. You know, not only did you score, but you played keep away. And that looked really good because that's something that hadn't happened in the last 2 weeks. Or in the first 2 weeks, I should say. So, again, positives on the offense on that last drive. Positives all around for the defense. And more importantly, Brock goes to 1-1. I do want to apologize for getting this up later in the week than normal. Well, we usually record this on Wednesday and put it up on Wednesday. I just had some stuff happen that I couldn't do that, so that's why I'm putting it up this morning. Normally, that's not that big of a deal, but since the game is today, had to get it up, and I want y'all to be able to listen to this on the way down to Belton at Mary Hardin Baylor. That's a great stadium, by the way. That's a really pretty stadium. Not quite like McLean, but it's basically McLean Jr. He paid for both of them, and it looks a little bit like it, just kind of scaled down. Anyway, we want to thank our sponsors. That's Tommy Hayes Photography. You can find him on Instagram at Tommy_Hayes_photography. You can also find him online at TommyHayesPhotography.com. You can find him on Facebook. Just type in Tommy Hayes Photography. He's the best in the business. You know, I used to try to play nice and say, oh, he's one of the best. No, he's the best. His portraits and his action photos are just absolutely amazing. Of course, he did help shoot the Brock program. The big picture on his website, TommyHayesPhotography.com, of Brock coming out of their tunnel. I put that on as the Coaches Show logo. I just love it. I love what he did with the colors on it. I love how it's just awesome. Tommy's just awesome. He's a nice guy too. Y'all all know that. If you've been in and around Brock, you know Tommy. Tommy's just a super nice guy. Though I do get jealous when he gets to go on those trips up to Alaska. I almost said Africa, up to Alaska and stuff, but he does wonderful work there. I also want to thank Eddie Washington, DFWExecutiveRealty.com. You can find him online, at DFWExecutiveRealty.com. You can also email him, edwash1@msn.com. You can give him a call, 817-680-9134. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, It's the head coach of the Brock Eagles, Coach Billy Mathers, to join us to talk the big win against Hirschi and the big matchup against Wimberley right here on the DFW Executive Realty, Tommy Hayes Photography, Brock Eagle Football Show on S2S Sports. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett back here on the Brock Football Show. Now joined by the head coach of the Eagles, Coach Billy Mathers. And Coach, you got that non-district win finally as you hold off a very tough Hirschi team, 28-14. Man, this was an interesting game. You jump out early. You then have to kind of fight them off the rest of the game. But congratulations on the big win.
Well, thank you. I'm very proud of the boys and their effort and the coaches. You know, it was one of those games where I felt like we were really in control most of the game, and we missed on a few opportunities there in the second quarter to really, I think, go score 2 more touchdowns. And momentum swung a little bit, and that Hirschi team, gosh, they're as good as any team around. They're just so athletic, but their D line was so good, and I don't think we didn't get a good feel for how good they were going to be through watching them play El Paso, Clint. But man, they were fired up. They were ready to go to come play us, and man, they gave us a hard time for 4 quarters. But having a new center, having a new right tackle, having some new guys at some spots there, I was proud of them for, man, some of the twists and stuff that they were doing. We were able to pick them up. We improved from week 1 to week 2 up front. We still got to keep improving, but I was very proud of them and, the way we played. And, there were some things that didn't go our way. They called they punted once, and they said the ball hit one of our players in the foot. And they got the ball back and, got a little momentum, but I was proud of us for being able to go out there and stop their momentum because when a team like that starts getting momentum, they're very hard to stop. And it just seems like the ball bounces your way when you got the momentum. But we were able to hold them off and, have a big win.
I know we've talked offense, and at times the offense struggled, and at times they look good. But I'm going to go to that last possession, man, when it looked like Hirschi was ready to get back in the game, and y'all got the ball with like 1:50 left. And then y'all did what looked like a Brock drive. Y'all marched right down the field, but you took your time. You got first downs, and then you finished it off with a 2-yard touchdown run. That's the most Brock I've seen that you look this year so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the drives that you go back and, on Saturday morning and you watch film and say, this is when you're imposing your will. I was just extremely excited for that because those are the things you want to see early. How are we going to go finish off a game? When we need to go get a first down, we need to go control the clock, run some timeout. We were able to do it, and, it helped us go get that win.
When you look at your defense, once again, against a very good Hirschi team, and I know they're a little young, but like you said, they're just so athletic, and you could see on a couple of their drives what they can do. But your defense did a good job of disrupting them, especially in that first half.
No, they did. I think Hunter Fay May had the best game that he's had in his career here. He was just an absolute animal, and just, them having to double team him, and if they didn't, he was there. And, all 3 linebackers played their tails off. I think Coop ended up having about 22 tackles at the game, and Luke Kearley, Luke plays outside linebacker for us. He was unstoppable. He goes out there and he plays our nickel back also. So, we double train him kind of like a nickel back, but also like a linebacker. So, he really stepped it up and had an unbelievable game this week too. So, all those guys believing in each other, knowing what their job is, and just playing relentless over there on the defensive side, that's where we're different this year than we were last year. We're not sitting back and waiting. We're taking the fight to teams.
You just explained it well because, I was at that Gunner game last year. It was a heck of a defensive slugfest, but you even said there was a couple times that your defense had plays on the table that they just didn't quite get aggressive enough about. I don't think you're going to have to worry about it with this year's squad.
No, I don't. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. And, that last loss to Franklin is, it's been a driving force. It's been something that we talk about every day. And, coming into this season and having that close one against Pleasant Grove and having this big win against Hirschi has really, really lifted their spirits. And, man, they just, it was the same way in the weight room. Man, the dudes are in there getting after it. I mean, sweat's pouring off of them. They're in their weight room like it's off season just because they don't want to have any letdown. They don't want to take any chance of looking back and having any regrets. And, man, I've been so proud of the leadership of these seniors and, and the way that the underclassmen are playing. They're playing for these seniors. They're playing for the team. They're not worried about who's starting. They're not worried about who's coming in win. They're worried about the Brock Eagles winning a football game.
Well, let's move on to the next one. You got a tough one, a Thursday night affair. You're going to be heading down to Mary Hardin Baylor to take on Wimberley. They're pretty good in 4A Division II. But, hey, like we talked about with Pleasant Grove, y'all realize that y'all probably going to be in 4A Division II next year. And if you're going to want to go far in the playoffs, you're going to have to be able to beat or at least compete with the Pleasant Groves and the Wimberleys of the world.
That's right, man. And, Coach Warren and Wimberley, I feel like they are a lot like us. Scheme-wise on both sides of the ball. Now, they move around on defense a lot more than we do. They do a great job of disguising coverages and going from a 3-man front to a 4-man front. They're very well coached, but they're the same way we are. They play fast. They play very physical. And, they end up getting beat last year by Carthage in the state championship. But, they've got that same fire that we have, and watching them on video, you can see it. They're better this year than they were last year. And, some of the polls got them ranked 1 and, some of them got them 2. And, I know none of that really matters, but, I know we're all human and our kids look at it and, people look at it, and it's an exciting time that we get a chance to go play, one of the top 3 teams in the 4A in the state of Texas. And it drives us. It gets us excited. Our boys want to have bragging rights when they leave out saying, hey, you know what? We beat one of the top teams in 4A.
And I think getting that win last week, we jokingly say finally, but, last year, this non-district schedule, almost every game was competitive, an overtime game, a couple games coming down to the last couple possessions. And I'm not going to say your team didn't believe, but I don't think it hurts at all that you got to win against the 4A team last week, and now you're preparing for Wimberley with that positivity going into this week.
Oh, I agree 100%. It was a big mental, load off your shoulders. It was. And, getting that win and knowing, hey, listen, we were close week 1, but we didn't get it done. Now we got it done. Now let's just go sit back and, you've got nothing to lose, right? Nobody wants to lose a game, but in the overall scheme of it all, you've got nothing to lose in non-district. Nobody wants to lose, and you want to go out there and put together your game plan, but there's a reason you play non-districts, to go out there and see what you're made of, who can do what. Now, that's been our speech all week to the boys. Let's go out there and play like your hair's on fire. Go out there and play like a bunch of wild men, and go out there and do things that you visualize in your head for 4 quarters.
How's the practice been this week? Short week for you.
It's been short week, but having the holiday Monday, we were able to get out there early. So, Tuesday was really hot, and now, we're going to go and finish up and do our walkthrough and finalize everything and go get it on. So it's been a good week. It's been an exciting week, short week, but sometimes these short weeks are good. You don't have a lot of time to think about a lot of stuff. You just got real quick, get ready, get your mind right, and we'll be playing.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe.
Man.
Terry Bennett back here on the Brock Eagle Football Show. Thanks to Coach Mathis for joining us as he does each and every week. Have you ever noticed that man, like, most coaches would be like, oh, we've got a short week and we've got to play Wimberley, a top 3 team in 4A Division 2, and we got to go down to Belton on a Thursday, and, it's going to disrupt everything that we do. And he's like, you know what? This is great. Our guys don't have to think about too much. You got to love that positivity that he just – and it's genuine. That's the thing about it. It's all genuine. That's why I love talking with him, man. He can make, like this has been just for things not with this job. This has been a rough week for me. And he just talking to him yesterday and then just listening to it, because the way I put this show together is I do the interview and then I do the intro and the outro afterwards, because that way if he says something, I want to be able to say it in the intro and outro. And so normally, like I said, I'd put this up on Wednesday. It got delayed a day. And so I'm putting it together right now and just listening to the interview so I can put the outro in the right place and everything. And he's got me ready to play football. It's Thursday and it feels like Friday. You just got to love that positivity. But as always, we do appreciate him joining us. And this is going to be a tough one. We all know that. It was tough last year. Honestly, I felt last year Brock played closer than I thought they would. Now, Grant, on our Sideline to Sideline show this week, he's really big. He's really big on Brock making this a close game. And I'm going to, I don't know. I feel that Brock defensively is better this year, of course, than they were last year at this point. But I think Wimberley's probably better offensively at this point. And so it's going to be tough. And to me, that's where the game's won and lost. Brock's going to struggle to move the ball against a really, really underrated Wimberley defense. But if Brock can keep Wimberley off the scoreboard, I think you can start making them nervous because they're supposed to win. And that's one of the things I've enjoyed about the last 2 years in these non-district games is Brock's not the favorite. And so Brock's playing as the underdog, which Brock never gets to do. And so I think tonight, if they can keep Wimberley off the scoreboard and frustrate them offensively, you start getting them sweating because they're the favorite and they're supposed to win the game. Either way, we're going to be talking about it next week. Be safe if you're traveling down there tonight. If you're going to listen to the game at home, well, then have fun, order a pizza, cook some steak, have fun, and just listen to it. Or if you're going down, again, be safe. And there's some good food in Belton. And that's a great stadium. That's a really, really cool stadium. Like I said, it's like McLean Jr., so it looks a lot like the regular Baylor Stadium, but it's just at Mary Hardin Baylor, and it's a little bit different. But until next week, I'm Terry Bennett. This has been the Brock Eagle Football Show right here on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media.